Please rise if you wish for the invocation and the pledge. Dear God, our children are back in school, and this evening we ask for them a safe and productive school year. We remember the school staff charged with the education of our next generation and ask that they have the resources and support they need in their critical roles. We appreciate as well the crossing guards and volunteers who make sure our children get to and from school without incident. As we consider the matters before us this evening, grant us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we may make the best decisions for those who have entrusted us to represent them. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk, would you do the roll call, please?
Councilmember Sell.
Here.
Councilmember Papalardo.
Here.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Mayor Chazet.
Here.
Vice Mayor Butlin.
Here.
This is the special City Council meeting for August 20, 2025. Are there any deletions or amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, we will open with a presentation about DeBerry Foundation, but before we have Jim Old approach the podium, I would like the city manager to give a little bit of background about DeBerry Foundation and how we ended up with this wonderful group moving forward in our city.
Thank you, Mayor. And as Jim Old can come on up here, approach the podium. But, you know, with all the exciting projects and amenities, our residents have over the years have getting really excited about some of our projects and amenities. And as you know, we've been getting a lot of inquiries about people wanting to participate, wanting to donate, to help us not only do these particular projects, but to personalize it and honor veterans and various different other things like that. So that's when we started researching about foundation and nonprofit organizations. And we noticed that some of these government organizations utilize these nonprofit organizations to benefit parks and art and various other different types of amenities. And so we did research some of the foundations like the Volusia Sheriff Foundation, Winter Parks Foundation, and even the City of Orlando has a foundation that help them do various things and personalize their projects to their community. So if you recall, in March of 2025, the City Council approved the creation of the DeBerry Foundation and selected the first chairman, Jim Old. And our purpose was to go ahead and initiate and approve the first board, and then from then on, it would be an independent organization, and that's generally how you get these foundations started. So in April 2025, we opened up the applications, and for the residents just now watching, we had many discussions. We've had a council agenda item. We talked about the applications, and we gave 30 days or more for applications. And in May 2025, the council considered all the applicants and selected 6 of them to be on the board. All of which now are, many of them, all of them are here today. Yeah. So since May 2025, we've been working as the council approved the attorney to go ahead and establish, and this is an attorney that we used out of Winter Park who has been very knowledgeable in how to build these nonprofit organizations to assist government agencies. And so we worked through that particular process, fine-tuning the articles of incorporation, fine-tuning the bylaws, and everything else. And once we finalized the articles of incorporation with our attorney's approval, I signed the incorporation documents to create that, simply because there were no, at that time, no active board members. That we didn't have any corporation for them to get together and approve the bylaws and the articles of incorporation. So through our attorney, I was granted the authority to go ahead and incorporate this corporation. That's why you see my name on the articles of incorporation. And so some of the concerns, obviously, with some of the residents that I've talked to in over the week or so is that, our resolution requires the DeBerry Foundation to submit their financial statements to the city. And once they do, that becomes public record, and they'll be able to see all their financials, what they're spending money on, et cetera, et cetera. And then many people don't know that the foundation is also required to file Form 990 with the IRS to disclose all the persons, and I say persons because it could be an individual or corporation. And on the Florida statute, sorry, that's old habit. Persons under the Florida statutes mean just about anybody. And so they have to disclose the donors and everything else, and you can actually view those online for the donors of nonprofit organizations. So we expect full transparency. We expect full independence. You'll see in tonight's presentation, there is working closely with the city to make sure that the projects they do are in line with the city's vision and city's strategic initiatives. And that's our responsibility is to work with them. But for the most part, they're an independent organization, and so far they're doing very well. Our chairman, Jim Ohl, will now brief us on the rest of that. And if you got anything to add other than what I just said?
No, you covered my first slide perfectly. You want me to do the rest? So, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, and staff, I appreciate the time to come up and talk with everybody. As Carmen went through, there we go. He covered the top half of that slide, which is the history of what you guys did. Where I'm picking up is where we as a foundation went from that point. After you selected the 6 directors to be on the board, we had our first organizational meeting the 25th of June. During that meeting, we voted to approve and adopt the articles, 10 resolutions, and they're all listed up, not all 10, the key ones are listed there. Carmen made a point that he had to sign the Articles of Incorporation because there were no officers to sign it. We did check with legal counsel, and they said there is no need to go back and re-sign as an officer of the DeBerry Foundation because the lawyer said you're already incorporated. So that's why it's staying that way. So we won't go back there. We did update our bylaws a little bit from the draft that you had seen. Those are ours that we control. We went through the seating of the board, went through the approval of the officers, and then we went through the direction for me to pursue the 501c3 SunBiz, et cetera. The key to this whole thing is that at the end of that meeting, we were officially incorporated as the DeBerry Foundation under your vision, but we're a wholly independent entity at that point. Just in the nuts and bolts section, because some people actually really wonder what we're doing, we are registered with the Florida and SunBiz as a not-for-profit corporation. We're registered with the Florida Department of Agriculture to be able to fundraise. We have our EIN, bank account. We have 2 or 3 websites ready to go. You'll hear more about that in a little bit. We have our donation portal. All of that is hinging on the receiving of the IRS determination letter. Once that arrives, then the rest of this will be able to execute. And then we'll file for the certificate of exemption. I've already submitted that to the attorney. They're just waiting for the IRS letter, and then they will submit that for us. So that will go through fairly quickly. Our mission. We looked at the draft mission statement that was on the initial bylaws, and the foundation met, and we said, is this the right mission for us? And we concur, it still was. So as Carmen laid out, and if you notice, our logo covers 3 of the 5 points. We're here to enhance the DeBerry trails, the parks, the arts, the history of DeBerry with the Historic Preservation Group, and honor our veterans, our military, and our Gold Star families. Again, your vision is what started this, and so we're executing underneath that. You can see all the projects that may include. That's just an initial laundry list for what we're going to have. The board of directors, you know everybody because you selected them. They're all almost, there's one missing, but we're all back here in these gray shirts. But we've been pretty busy since you last saw us. We approached Josh to come on as a strategic advisor. His role is to work on corporate partnerships, large-scale donation development, because we have no money. We really are, we have a little, but that's his role, is to help steer us for that. Then we're truly fortunate that Terry Hogue accepted my offer to be the foundation artist. You can already see her effect in our logos, her skill. I gave her probably 2 or 3 cryptic sentences of what we are, and she came back with this logo. and we changed one color. It was so we're very fortunate to have her on board with that. Then we said we need a social media person because we're all old people. So we went to Stetson University and worked with them and said we would like to get a social media intern. We were looking for a junior, senior, or grad student, either in digital media, marketing, communications. We had a large number of really high-end resumes that came in. We interviewed, down-selected, and we selected Alice, who's back here in the Stetson shirt. She's a junior. She's a double major. She's already doing the same thing for the Bonner Foundation, for those that are familiar with it, and 2 other organizations. I don't know how she has time, but she's already taken on and taking our social media. You're going to see a lot more postings coming out. And finally, Jeffrey Faust agreed to come on. He's a small business owner, lives in DeBary, works in DeBary. He's a CPA. He has nonprofit experience. So he's volunteered pro bono to work with us. He did make an agreement if we get larger and it takes up a lot more time, we'll renegotiate do we have to pay him. But right now, like everyone on this slide, 100% volunteers. No one's being paid, no other organization, it's just they're giving their time back to the community. So social media, most of you have seen our Facebook page. It's growing. What we have in work now that Alice is on board is she's developing our X, the former Twitter, and our Instagram accounts. And then we have our big coming soon. We have a fully fleshed out webpage that Tommy Grant helped me put together. It's ready to go. We're holding on releasing it until that 501c3 letter for an economic reason, because with that letter, we get a nonprofit discount, which is significant. So that will roll out when we get that. And that will be partnered with other social media accounts. Got to point it over. There we go. So as we met, we said, how are we going to categorize what we're going to do? Because there's all kinds of things that people want us to do. So we broke it into 3 groups. We broke it into project type number 1, which is when we're delivering a product, such as a memorial brick that William Sell asked me to do. So that's something that we're delivering. We're going to give bricks to the city. I joke with Carmen, I'm now a brick merchant. So that's category number 1. It may or may not be tied to a fundraiser. It can be either way. Number 2 is when we provide funding, think grants or monies to other organizations that are doing work. No one will get money without coming to us without a grant application first. They'll have to come before the foundation and brief the 5 W's and H, the who, what, where, why, when, and how. We want to hear what their program is going to do, who's it going to impact, numbers, and an outcome. Then they'll go away, and then the foundation will debate, is this within our mission? Do we have the money to fund it, and then do we want to? And if it's yes, then we'll provide the money. We have some suggestions. I had a great one this afternoon where if we're providing money to another entity, we may ask for some return service in kind, whether it's donation hours if we're running an event to come sit at a table. So that way everybody helps. It's a circular help, which will be great. And so the examples of that are funding an after-school art program at the Gateway, or approaching I'm going to read it right so I don't mess it up, the DeBary Volunteer Fire Support Team, that's a mouthful, and provide them with funding, which will in turn then support the fire department. So we're helping the community help themselves. And the third category is a pure fundraiser for the foundation, because without us fundraising and pursuing grants, we have no money. Without money, we can't help people. So it's a necessary evil. And that's things like a golf tournament, excuse me, or Giving Tuesday, or the first Tuesday after Thanksgiving, where nationwide they encourage people to donate to philanthropic organizations. Okay, Mike. So the first program, I'm going to cover 2 programs, and I'll be brief. This one's a little longer. This is our Bricks of Honor Story of Valor. Some of you were at the VFW and saw parts of this. Mike is handing out the example brick that we're doing. The idea of this is a full partnership with the city. We can't do it without, because the program is going to be installing bricks at Memorial Park. The idea is to represent and honor our active military, our veterans, and our Gold Star families. You can see the price of the bricks. I'll go into more of that. The dedication of this plaza is intended for President's Day of 2026. We sat down, met with the city. Carmen's there, brought his Parks and Rec guys, so everything is sync. The good news is the company we selected for the brick has already worked with DeBary 3 or 4 times in the past. So that's going very well. The brick sales we anticipate starting in September. We're waiting on some final tax implications as we're working through, so we don't run afoul of the tax man. So where's it going to go? In talking with the city, I gave Carmen, I think, a 5-6-page concept paper, which covered everything from what we want to do to where it goes. When we met, they agreed that this would be the good spot. To orient you, the shadow on the far right is the nose of the F-15 that's up on the hill. That headstone is the honor to the first mayor of DeBary, and then those flagpoles are for the 6 services, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force, and Coast Guard. The idea is to build a brick all the way around both sides and extend out to the side as far as we need. The city will establish a blank brick field, and then when our bricks show up after we secure the ordering, they just have to do a remove and replace and then seal the bricks, and the bricks are guaranteed longer than any of us will be around. The key part of this is, and if you look at the bricks that are available, we're not limiting it to only DeBary veterans. It's anybody that lives in DeBary that wants to buy a brick in honor of a veteran, or anyone outside of DeBary that wants to buy a brick to put in our thing. We also are having it set up so veteran organizations like the VFW, the American Legion, will be able to purchase a brick with their logo and a generic term, you know, the American Legion's honoring our veterans. And theirs will go intermixed with the veteran bricks. Then we'll have a set for someone who, if there's a family with no veterans in their, you know, within their world. So the Jones family honors our veterans. That will be off on a side. We're not going to mix that with the veterans. And some of this we still have to work the mechanics with the city. And then finally, we'll have the corporate small business bricks, and they'll have their own section, either off the side or potentially ringing it around. What we didn't want is to have 2 veteran bricks and then a McDonald's brick between it. That just sort of cheapens the whole point. We wanted to keep the veterans being veterans. And I am a vet, that's the whole point. This is the bottom half of the ordering site. So the brick company we chose produces an ordering website that anyone can go through. This shows 3 actual bricks as an example. I apologize, the 4th brick is a PowerPoint artist deception because they didn't have it done. You can see that we'll have 3 different 4x8 bricks. That's driven by the location of the artwork. If you have a warfare designator badge, aviation wings, EOD crab claws, Army combat infantry badge, that would be centered on the brick. It looks odd to the side. That means you only get 2 lines of text. If you want a service emblem or a unit patch or a medal, those would go to the left side and you'd have 3 lines of text. Gold Star families will have the star. We tried for gold. We were told you can't have tombstone paint that lays horizontal in gold. It doesn't last, so it'll be black. And they will have a special nomenclature on their bricks. Gold Star families will have a 15% discount in honor of that. And then there's the 8x8 brick where everything is centered and you have 5 lines. The key to all this is that the foundation, when these are ordered, they go into a holding queue. And the foundation, so Mike Newman, who brought the brick up, is my project lead for this. He has access to all of the orders. They won't be cut until we press the execute button. So he'll go through and look at all the things. We're looking to ensure as close as possible to have standardization. There's going to be variances, but what we don't want is inappropriate language where a joke might be really good in a unit, but when you put it on a brick for the world to see, we don't want that. So we will go through and review all the orders before we hit enter. We'll leave the brick ordering open this initial round until the 5th of January. That gives the company time to produce the bricks, get them here for Carmen's folks to remove, replace, and then have the ceremony. The city did ask us to keep it open in perpetuity, and we agree with that. Jason said that when they did other bricks, you'll have a big spike, and then it'll trail off. They did ask us, don't bring the city 1 or 2 bricks at a time. After the initial order, he goes, please hold for 10 or 15 so we don't crush the guys. So that will continue until I'm not here anymore. The last thing that we also are offering, the little black, is a leather coaster that's a representation of what people can have. So that's an additional $10 over top the 100 for the brick or the 200. One point is that when we met with the city, we wanted to keep it as affordable. You'll see brick prices for a 4x8 upwards of $300. We're not going to do that. Other companies charge, excuse me, for the artwork. We're not doing that. It's all included out the door. It's $100 or $200. We want to take care of our folks. Okay, now I'm going to shift gears to the other project. We're having a DeBary Foundation kickoff celebration. I will tell you that the registration opened and the first person that registered was the mayor. It was like 6:30 in the morning, bam, the mayor's in there. I'm like, whoo, that was fast. As you can read on the screen, it's on the 18th of September. The doors open at 6:30. We'll have light refreshments from 6:30 to 7, dessert, little cheesecake things that you give us at Citizens Academy to kind of tempt you to come. At 7 o'clock, we'll have a presentation. It'll look a lot like this with some additional work. And then we're going to open it up to the community. The reason is because we are representing the community. We want to know we have a list of initial projects that we'll put up. You never give someone a white piece of paper. So we'll put that up. And then we want the community to go, these are projects we would like to see you do. And so we'll take notes, add all that, and then we'll ask them, can you kind of prioritize it? Because, again, we're here to serve the community and help. So we'll do that. We'll have a Q&A session all at the same time, and we'll launch 2 programs officially. We'll kick off our BRIC program, the Bricks of Honor. We'll formally announce that as a kickoff. And we're also going to announce the Central 28th. It's their 4th annual, I got to get this right, Monster Mash and Dash 5K Fun Run. The reason that's important to us is every year they select an organization to donate money to from the proceeds of that event. This year they selected the foundation as the beneficiary. So if anybody enjoys serious running, come out. Fun running in a Halloween costume, come out. If you want to drag a trailer, come on out. It's a great event. This is the 4th year, and all the proceeds up above and beyond the cost will go roll back into the foundation. The last thing, again, this is when we're pushing this event, it's a free event. We do ask people to register because we need to know how many of the little mini cheesecakes to buy and how many seats. The registration link is on that. It's also on our Facebook page. It should take you about a minute and a half. It took me 2 because I'm slow. So we made it simple for that. And we invite all the residents and friends of DeBary. And if you have friends that are outside of DeBary but that have businesses in, or businesses outside the DeBary shop at, this isn't limited to just DeBary folks. Our stretch is larger than that. Okay, now as a thank you for your support, I really appreciate the opportunity to come up and talk with you about this, and more importantly, for the trust that you placed in us and all these folks back here in the gray shirts and the one blue one, because Josh, I don't have a shirt for Josh yet. That is a pivotal decision. And as Carmen pointed out, it mirrors other cities. Orlando has an independent foundation. Winter Park has one. And now DeBary has one. But by making us independent, you allow us to move with purpose, to deliver results, and to build this thing from the ground up. It allows us to be fluid and flexible. So, and as a token of our appreciation, okay, Kathy, we haven't rehearsed this at all. We want to present you with the DeBary Foundation coin. On the front of the coin, on the front of the coin, you can see it's our logo. On the back of the coin, it literally represents the heart of the foundation. There are four phrases on the back that represent the foundation. Once again, this is Terry Hogue and her mastery at work. I gave her 3 sentences, and she came up with what's on the back, and it just blew me away. So we wanted to make sure you guys had that. And then, if you allow me one last thing, I need to present a personal coin. And this is for somebody who mentored me, cajoled me, listened to me, put up with me. And you know how this works, Sherry? No, come on. Sherry was instrumental in helping me through all of this.
Again, it was a team.
You know how this works?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, I appreciate your time. I try to be as brief as possible. And if you have any comments or questions, if not, then this will conclude my time in front of you.
Thank you. Is there any comment that you would have to make, Councilmember Sell?
I know for sure. I'm really excited that you guys partnered with Stetson and got a young face to go along with all you older folks over there.
She's schooling us.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, I know I saw some comments on social media, but most of you folks who volunteer your time have way more to lose than gain by all of this. You guys are some of the cream of the crop. DeBary's a small city, but boy, we have some great people in the city of DeBary. You guys are volunteering your time. I mean, when I was looking at your applications, I knew I made all the wrong decisions growing up. I mean, you guys are all super successful. I mean, you have nothing to hide. You just have good intentions. You've taken this and you've just ran with it. I mean, you're leaps and bounds further ahead than I ever thought you guys would be. I mean, you guys got coins and shirts. I just, hopefully people show up at Gateway and they ask those questions. You guys have nothing to hide. You guys are doing a great job. I really appreciate what you're doing already. So thank you guys.
Councilmember Papalardo?
You stole my Stetson comment. As a doubleheader, I'm so glad to see a relationship starting there, and hopefully we see more. I would love to see, I've told you, Jim, and Tony, and some of the others, we should get some of their environmental science students do some senior projects at Alexander Island.
Yep.
They can get published. It could be really special. So I see so much in the future. I have lots of other little small projects to get things on different platforms to help you guys create a little bit more reach and perhaps some more service opportunities for residents or community members to join in. So I'm very excited about the future.
Yeah, we look forward to that.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Just have to echo similar comments of how appreciative I am that you guys are volunteering your time, and also the progress you've made already, your plans, and how it's going to support our community. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to reiterate what everyone said. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As a board member to several nonprofits, I understand the time that's involved in this kind of stuff. So I appreciate every ounce of time you're giving and what you will give in the future, because it will never end. You'll be on it forever. We're going to keep you there forever. But thank you. This is great. The progress has been wonderful. So I appreciate your efforts in getting all this done.
And I want to thank each one of you who is volunteering for this effort. This is the fruition of a long-time vision that has been had for our city, and I am so pleased that we're on such a sound path towards getting the programs established, and each of you brings immense talent to the foundation, and I too know the demands of time, and that is a great sacrifice on your part to dedicate time to this project. And so I say thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the kickoff. First in the door.
I just signed up.
I'll shake your hand at 6:30, Mayor.
There you go. Thank you so much. Okay, we are moving on to the consent agenda. If I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 and 2 on our agenda.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Agenda item number 3 is a public hearing. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. As usual, I will outline the order of business, but since this is a second hearing, I will keep it brief. The city clerk will swear in anyone who plans to speak on this item who is not a lawyer. Then we will have the city clerk poll the council for any ex parte communications. The city staff will have up to 10 minutes to present the case. The applicant will have up to 15 minutes to present their case. We will ask for any public participation. And then after that, if there has been public participation, the applicant will have time to rebut any issues that have arisen in the discussion, and then the council will have discussion and decision. So I would start with the city clerk. Would you swear in anyone who may speak to this item?
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, and would you poll the council for any ex parte?
Councilmember Sell?
No communications.
Councilmember Papalardo?
No ex parte communication.
Councilmember Stevenson?
None.
Mayor Chazet?
None?
Vice Mayor Butlin?
None.
Okay, so we will let staff begin their presentation.
Excuse me, can we get the attorney to read the ordinance?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, we have an ordinance. Please read the ordinance. I usually underline that, saying you need to read it.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of DeBary, Florida, approving a request to change the zoning classification of approximately 4.06 plus minus acres of land located adjacent to and east of U.S. Highway 1792 south of Fort Florida Road and north of the intersection of Barwick Road and U.S. Highway 1792, having a Volusia County tax parcel identification number 9009-00000370 from B5 heavy commercial zoning classification to KBC luxury storage BPUD business plan unit development zoning classification, providing for a development agreement, providing for severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen Bapp, Growth Management Director. Before I proceed with my testimony and presentation, I want to note that Attachment A, which is the development agreement, had 2 corrections, which are different from what was submitted electronically to your packet. So you have a packet included, a manila envelope in front of you. If you turn to page 19 of 20, it reflects the changes that are coordinated and synchronized with the variance which was granted. One of which being the language that says self-storage facilities shall be limited to servicing and repairing of personally owned recreational motor vehicles, because that motion was made and changed at the council variance granting. And also on the same page in text of red, strike through, the strike through request that they sought for an 8-foot width sidewalk reduction to 6 feet, which was denied by council. Other than that, that is the only changes that are present that were not provided to you by electronic correspondence. Tonight, as discussed, we will discuss ordinance 5-02025, which is the second reading. And the attorney did read this part and the description of the ordinance. The background, again, beginning last August, we had a submission for a final site plan. We processed that through the Development Review Committee, and due to some inconsistencies of the projects and provisions of the Land Development Code, staff had the applicant apply for a convert the zoning to a BPUD, and also through the process identified some variances which would be required. And that process continued through May. And in June, we actually heard the variances at the Development Review Committee, and we recommended that the council adopt those variances. In the 1st of July, we did. Prior to our last DRC meeting, the applicant did host a publicly notified neighborhood meeting. Even though all applicants were present, there were no attendees to the meeting, and there are no responses from the general public on this item. On the 6th of August, City Council did approve the first reading, and preceded by the approval of the first reading was the variances which were requested and indicated in the packet you have. The proposed project is located on 1792 in the southern portion of our city. And what this illustration shows is the orientation of the building, with the long axis being perpendicular to 1792, and showing the individual storage units 1 through 18, and then the corresponding parking, retention, wetlands to the far east or right of the diagram, and its connectivity to 1792. Looking at the map, staff has reviewed the map and shows that the current zoning of B5 is located in the center of the map in a long rectangle, which is red cross-hatched, and surrounded by a border of light blue or teal. And if you would note, in that part of the city, there are various land uses, but primarily B4, B5, and some commercial warehousing or type activities near where this proposed building will go. The zoning amendment would rezone the subject property as stated to be a BPUD named KBC Luxury Storage, and it would adopt the development agreement and master development plan which have been provided. The only permitted uses would be indoor public storage facility where vehicles, boats, recreational vehicles, and other personal property of such nature could be stored. Development standard, very, very consistent with this type of development, but this chart you see outlines the lot size, and then the setbacks from adjacent properties and actually the siting and location of the building. In addition to the development standard, the proposed agreement would utilize certain variances from the LDC, which were granted, and the development order for that has been signed and granted by the city manager in this case. Looking at the criteria, we've reviewed all criteria for rezoning of the LDC and associated documents. Section 3.8B provides criteria for which we look at zoning amendments. Staff checks to see if the proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan, including proposed uses and densities. And we came to the conclusion of the staff finding of the proposed rezoning is generally consistent and compatible with the articles of the comprehensive plan. We also look at the establishment, maintenance, and operation and uses permitted by the proposed zoning would not be detrimental or endanger to public health. And based on the use, there is no evidence, according to staff review, indicating the establishment of such rezoning would endanger the public health, the safety, nor the general welfare. The uses permitted shall not impede a normal orderly development. As stated earlier, the properties to the south have already been developed. The property, and they are in a warehouse type configuration. The properties to the north is owned by the Florida Department of Transportation and holds a retention pond. And the property to the east is preserved as conservation. With regard to character, there is no really established character, but it does seem to be it is very consistent with what is already established in the southern portion of our city. This slide will show that staff will evaluate further on the site plan review, the details of the construction and the submitted plans and ensure that they are consistent with this proposed ordinance. We also have to look to see if this is a spot zoning according to our code, and this ordinance would not qualify as a spot zoning or zoning which would be advantageous only to the applicant. Comprehensive plan compatibility, as stated, please note that the future land use is the southeast mixed use area. Even though it is in the SEMUA, it is not in the actual TOD. It is on the fringe of this land use. We have to look at, because of the land use classification, its impact on the TOD, and staff has reviewed this, and the project is not in the TOD itself, and we find that it would be compatible. Surrounding properties would not have a negative impact on the main core TOD area. We also look at orderly patterns of development, and we find that this is orderly and consistent with what has been established in the south part of 1792. Staff does not see that the development would have a negative impact on the future development in the vicinity. And although it is in the form-based code area, staff sees that the project is reasonable in terms of design, orderly pattern and of development, and compatible with the development of nearby areas. And thus, also that has been granted a variance by the City Council and reviewed and approved for some of the form-based items, which could not be met by the design of this plan. We look at the transportation element. We do not see the need for any new transportation facilities or any impact on the general transportation pattern in the city. Thus, staff recommends the City Council approve the second reading of this ordinance, noted with the two changes that you have before you, to amend and rezone the subject property from B5 to BPUD-KBC luxury storage. If you do approve the second reading, staff will amend and republish the zoning map, and the applicant would be able to proceed with their final site plan application, which ultimately would be approved by the Development Review Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Applicant, would you like to say a few words? Or up to 10 minutes or 15 minutes of words?
Thank you. David Stokes, Madmore Stokes, here on behalf of the applicant. I don't need 10 minutes. I just want to say thank you for your time and staff's time, getting you guys the revised development agreement
Right.
with those conditions that we did agree to and are still in agreement with at the last hearing. We're here for questions and appreciate everyone's time and help getting us to this point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Okay, with no public participation, no need for rebuttal. Councilmember Sell, questions, comments?
No questions.
Councilmember Papalardo?
I'm pleased with the amendments. No questions.
Councilmember Stevenson?
No additional questions, thank you.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Nothing additional, thank you.
And I would say nothing additional. We did have a more fulsome discussion of this on the first reading. So if there is no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 05-2025, amending the zoning map to rezone the property with Volusia County parcel ID 900-900-0000370 from heavy commercial B5 to business plan unit development BPUD, and adopt a development agreement and master development plan MPD for the KBC luxury storage BPUD.
Second?
With the
Did you-
amendments,
Yes, I was going to add
As-
with the
as
staff recommendation.
the staff recommendation amendments.
Second again?
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. So we're moving on to agenda item number 4. Staff is requesting City Council approve the second reading of ordinance number 06-2025, amending the Land Development Code to implement Section 28 of Chapter 2025-190. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Of the laws of Florida. That's not SB 180?
This is SB 180. And
It's
SB
just
180
called 190,
It
huh?
actually refers, in SB 180, it refers to this Chapter 2025-190.
Okay, so for clarity for anyone in the office, in the audience and watching, this is an amendment to make this comply with what we know as SB 180, but is known in the, under the laws of Florida as Chapter
190.
Section 28 of Chapter 2025-190. Thank you. Would you read the ordinance?
Sure will. An ordinance of the City of DeBary, Florida, amending Chapter 1 of the City of DeBary Land Development Code to create Section 1.8, relief concerning declared emergency, to implement Section 28 of Chapter 2025-190, Laws of Florida, providing for automatic expiration and future modification, providing for conflicts, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Stephen Bapp, Growth Management Director. I will be presenting this item. Chapter 1 of our Land Development Code provides various general provisions for execution of the way we operate and administer land law in the city. On 6/26/2025, Governor Ron DeSantis signed into law Senate Bill 180, which, as stated, is the amendment of a Chapter 2025-190. The section to be amended, the law states that municipalities listed within a county listed in the federal disaster declaration for certain hurricanes in 2024 may not propose or adopt more restrictive or burdensome amendments to its comprehensive plan or land development regulations, or propose or adopt more restrictive or burdensome procedures concerning review, approval, issuance of a site plan, development permit, or development order before 1 October 2027. This provision goes retroactively to August 1st, 2024. Of note, our Land Development Code was adopted in its new form in July of 2024. What this amendment will do is required that we will need to amend LDC Chapter 1, which is their general provisions, addressing relief for certain declared emergencies. Section 1.8 of our Land Development Code addresses the restrictions of said Florida law and will automatically expire on the 1st of October 2027, or if it's repealed sooner, consistent with the provisions of the Chapter 2025-190. If the said chapter 2025-190 is substantially amended after this proposed amendment is adopted, the city manager may freeze usage of this section until a subsequent amendment to the LDC is adopted. If the chapter is declared invalid or unconstitutional, the city manager may again freeze the usage of section 1.8. 1.8 provides for the process and relief of applicants for the development orders who believe the city has initiated amendments which occurred after 8/1/2024 are more restrictive or burdensome than existed before 8/1/2024. The applicant may have the previous version of the LDC and comprehensive plan applied to their application if said item is found to be burdensome. More further background, on the 6th of August of this year, City Council did approve the first reading of the proposed ordinance. Thus, it is a requirement to be consistent with Florida law, so it is recommended by staff that the City Council approve the second reading of Ordinance 6-2024-5 to amend LDC Chapter 1 and to add a new Section 1.8 providing for relief for concerning certain declared emergencies. If approved tonight, the City Council staff will update the Land Development Code through its normal processes to reflect the adopted ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell, questions or comments?
No questions.
Councilmember Papalardo.
No comments.
Councilmember Stevenson.
No questions, thank you.
Vice Mayor Butland.
Nothing further.
The only thing that I would mention is I will bring up something during reports that has to do with a different kind of action that you may want to review between now and the next meeting to see what your thoughts are on it. And that would be, there has been a request by the County Council Chair that we would consider supporting amendments that they would seek to negotiate with legislatures, not challenge them, but through lobbying efforts, make changes. So I will mention that we can discuss that during reports. Hearing no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 06-2025, amending the Land Development Code, LDC, to implement Section 28 of Chapter 2025-190 of the laws of Florida.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. So we're moving on to new business, although I think we may have discussed this before. The city manager is requesting the city council discuss and provide further guidance on the fiscal year 2025 to 2026 budget.
Thank you, Mayor. As we move through this particular process, just want to let our public know that we did present the budget to the council on time on July 11th, 2025. The city council did pass a proposed millage rate on July 16th, 2025 at 3.65 mils. And as we advertised then we were planning on a discussion or budget workshop tonight to further discuss, as we go through this process, various changes that might occur since July 11th. And as always, we advertise the tentative millage and the budget to be September 3rd, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. and then the final millage and budget at September 17th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. So going through our particular slides that we normally go through and things that we're proud of, obviously our millage rate is based upon purely on financial business decisions, and as you can see the history of our millage rate, they have been project specific, whether they have been back in 2019 and 20. They were specific stormwater projects that were 15 years old that we accomplished. And then in 2024-25, we doubled our fire service, which was necessary. And then this year, obviously, we have some capital and legal services needs that we need to accommodate. And again, it pushing our recommendation for our millage at 3.65. But all of this on the left-hand side are pretty consistent. We run government like a business, like no other government. And we have perfected the contract for services, particularly in our law enforcement, our fire, and also our building department. And so I'm astounded by our staff and our outstanding leadership and performance, and I'm always astounded by, and a lot of folks do, of the council and staff's unified vision, strategic planning, and teamwork. And we get accolades all the time on how well we run business, and it shows up with when developers come to our particular city. They comment on the professional nature in which we operate business, and we keep chaos to a minimum because we have a unified vision in our strategic planning. This is my favorite slide, as I always show that every year. Again, showing all the new proposed ad valorem rates for each particular city. And you can see DeLand is at 6.28 mils, 7.25 mils in Lake Helen. Deltona is dropping theirs to 6.75. Orange City at that's supposed to typo, that's supposed to be 6.8691. And Volusia County remains the same, and unincorporated is more than 10 mils. And so what's unique here, again, we're 41.9% less than DeLand, and we're 46% less than Deltona. And this is what we tell economic development-wise all our businesses and people want to build here. If you need incentives, just come to DeBary. Whatever you build, you get a 41% savings, not now, but forever, because it's a tax savings that you'll get. We are our medium household income right now is $87,391. It's up from $83,678, a 4.4% increase from last year. And it's interesting, since we got here in 2019, our medium income has gone up 52%, which I think is extraordinary. And it just shows the change in our population as folks from Seminole County move into DeBary. We always like to say we're getting younger and we're getting richer. So that's the tone that really kind of sets us apart as we move forward. But our medium household income is the third highest in Volusia County. We still question Lake Helen a little bit, but that's okay. But we're the highest and second highest in West Volusia. What's interesting about this particular slide is stormwater this year, and you'll see that a lot of other cities are now exceeding what our stormwater fees are, because they are trying to catch up what we have already done in the past, and it's a tribute to you of being very proactive in our stormwater efforts. We actually reduced ours from 192 to 160. Our neighboring cities are escalating up. In talking with Deltona, they believe that they'll do $20 increase every year for the next 5 years to handle their stormwater infrastructure that they're trying to get in. And so it's you can see that, and it's a tribute to you of how proactive we have been of getting our emergency management system in. And that's, again, I want to repeat for folks, this $160 or $80 that you pay goes towards our emergency management systems, our public works personnel, and our debt service. And so those are the items that it primarily pays. Some folks believe that this should pay for all the stormwater in the entire city, and that's not true. There are certain subdivisions inside DeBary that are responsible for their own stormwater. This $160 goes towards our public works personnel, their equipment, their debt service, and the remaining balance is about 30% goes towards maintenance and repair and enhancement of our emergency stormwater management system. Interesting over there, you can see on the very far right-hand side, you can see now that the differences in the overall cost of our average household in DeBary. Now the taxable value is $199,857. I believe when we came in 2019, it was $135. And so 1,000. And so you can see now the difference is now escalating between us and of the other cities because their stormwater fees are now at or pretty much exceed what the city of DeBary is. So we are the benchmark regarding stormwater. We are, a lot of folks are looking towards us. We still got a lot of enhancements to do to really kind of just handle some of our weaknesses in our community. As I've advised you, we have applied for a HUD grant with the county for the West High Banks project for $8.6 million. And so hopefully, keep your fingers crossed that if we do get that, that will be a major win in some of our final stormwater projects that we have left. So last year I provided some forecasts, and what I have done here is I've kind of adjusted our forecast because our commercial is coming in a little slower than anticipated. We had some good meetings today regarding DeBary Main Street, and you're probably going to see some things pick up then. But our debt service, where they borrow money, has been very slow. Debt has not been. But in some of our meetings today, we were advised that the debt market now has improved significantly, and that people are able to borrow money. But as far as our forecast, it looks like some of our commercials coming in later rather than sooner. And so I adjusted that red line of where the commercial development will come in. And I think once it comes in, you'll see a steady decline back down as it comes in. You can see all of the cities in entire Volusia County over there on the right-hand side. Ormond Beach is 25% more than the city of DeBary. New Smyrna is 27 more. And you can go all the way down the list. Some of our West Volusia cities, Deltona, DeLand, Orange City, are 85% more than we are. And it's kind of strange. You see the West Volusia cities on the bottom of this list, other than DeBary. And so it's a tribute to you, your financial conservatism, and you pinching the dollars. You do an extremely important job budget-wise to make sure that DeBary remains one of the premier, most effective and efficient governments in the state of Florida. So in this year's budget, we talked about personnel. And in this particular budget, we recommended and proposed a 3% salary increase. On the right there, you see the surveys that were done with each city manager of what is being proposed for each government agency in Volusia County. They range from 3 to 5%. Edgewater did not report, and Oak Hill did not report. New Smyrna and Ormond Beach are in negotiations. To be honest, a lot of the law enforcement and fire service unions are recommending double-digit salary increases for firefighters and law enforcement, and that's why they're in negotiations before they determine what pay increases to give the non-law enforcement and non-fire service personnel. But yes, they're looking at upwards to 12 to 14% increases for their fire and their police services. Also in this budget are obviously the increased costs of goods and services. We are experiencing, again, a little more increases in construction as we go out for bid on some of these construction projects. We're also looking at IT replacement, our computers, and then our sign up in front of the police station there. Is about 10 or 11 years old, and the technology there is no longer supported. Also talking about our general fund there, the personnel costs. As you remember, we did the salary increases in March of 2025. So the salary increases to $903,961. We had some, as you recall, last meeting we did this presentation. Some folks were the city manager department. They thought all those funds went to the city manager, but it's unfortunately there's 7 or 8 FTEs in that department, and so there's obviously the addition to the assistant city manager, and then we actually changed the name in our budget from the city manager department to executive department, which eliminates that perception. And of course, associated benefits have also increased by $64,000 with those salary increases. We talked about the public safety. The sheriff contract increases by $350,000. It's about an 8.1% increase. It goes from $4.3 million to $4.6 million. And generally, the sheriff charges us salary and benefits, our share of IT, and our share of fleet. It's a great way, and this is where the efficiency comes in. Our residents pay the 1.59 mills to the county that takes care of everything else. And this is where the efficiency comes in. There's not a duplication of services when you have your own police department, and then you're also paying the 1.59 mills to the sheriff. So that's where the efficiency comes in. And we brag about this all the time. We had a ComStat meeting as well. Tremendous statistics there that their clearance rate on crime has gone up another 8%, and now they're clearing 88% of their cases as we provide that deterrence to deter crime to go someplace else. There is some facility painting there since it's been built. There has not been any painting in there, and then we're also talking about some LPR enhancements throughout the city. We do have a couple areas that need to be shored up. And I won't tell you the locations, but we're working with the captain and with the lieutenant on our strategic planning on where these should be located at to further increase our clearance rate and arrests. The fire services, and this is where the adjustments that we were really not aware of, became a surprise about a week or so ago. As you know, we're going to 2 full service stations. They're in labor negotiations in process, and we disclosed at that time we estimated about $300,000 increase for the fire services. We did get notification last week that our $300,000 estimate is a little low. It needs to increase another $118,000. And so we do have some strategies, and I'll explain toward the end of my presentation there how to accommodate for that. We did have a high water vehicle maintenance in this budget. That vehicle was brought by the other day, and so we got to take some rides and some pictures in it. But it is a significant strategic vehicle that we actually needed last year during Hurricane Milton. But it again shows that our staff and our organization, when we have a problem, we have a situation, we do whatever it takes to make sure that that problem doesn't exist again. We just don't sit idly by and put blinders on, and hopefully that situation will never come again. But if it does, we'll be able to handle it with proper problem solutions like we have right here. And then we'll talk a little bit in the next slide regarding the equipment requests. We talked about the fire truck. We did get a proposal of a $200,000 deposit. In that proposal, 31 months to get a fire truck from deposit. And so that's more than 2.5 years. And so this is the slide we modified with the fire truck. Is that we put a deposit down for $200,000. We can take that out of a one-time out of the general fund reserves, and then we can allocate it in the budget for fiscal year 26-27, 50% of the balance, and then out of 27-28, another 50% of the balance. By keeping the rate 3.65, we can spread this cost over 3 fiscal years without borrowing money. But again, 31 months to get a fire truck delivered, a base fire truck delivered. The general fund, we talked about the legal services and what we anticipate this year, going from $400,000 to $850,000. And these are the lawsuits that we anticipate our legal services participating in DeBerry Plantation Community Association, the Volusia County Schools. We're possibly going, the Bank of America foreclosure, and some various engineering and traffics that we're going to need to support our position subject matter experts. And then we have the contract negotiations, which are different than most years with Volusia County, which is House Bill 479. That's the combining of the transportation impact fees, where there's two government agencies collecting in the same area. They now have to become one fee. And then when you do the one fee, you have to negotiate with the other agency on where those monies are distributed. You remember you passed the mobility fee. The mobility fee includes the county fee in the mobility area, and it dedicates that county monies towards Dirksen. And so we're working through that wording now. We do have some startup costs with Alexander Island. I did adjust the opening date out to September. We are running into some costs, construction costs that we didn't anticipate. And so we're now going back and doing some revisions and modifications. So again, we're going to keep right now the 2 employees hired in March of 2026. That may adjust to April or May depending on when the opening day is. But the maintenance garage is not covered by ECHO, and of course the essential equipment is not covered by ECHO. All those things are needed to get the park open. We are coming up with this particular strategy. We may split off the guaranteed maximum price contract into 2, one for the entrance and then one for the parking lot and everything else, and do those on one right after another, so that we can at least get the entrance done along with the construction of the bridge on Fort Florida Road. I think that's important to get it done simultaneously. Obviously, we talked about the Parks and Rec, the pickleball courts. We got an ECHO grant for that. Obviously, you have to budget it, and then we awarded 50% of that. The Bill Keller storage is along with that pickleball court. Has to be removed, and it's not in very good condition at this time. Gateway Fire Monitoring System is $30,000. That was disclosed on July 16th. Another new thing that came up since then is the AC units at Gateway. We had an AC unit go out in Gateway. They're 17 years old. And so we went ahead and we're working on replacing the one that's out. But we anticipate probably over the next year or so that we're probably going to replace maybe 1 or 2 more of those. And so we're going to make adjustments in the budget to cover the possibility of losing more air conditioning. You know, once one goes, they have 5. And so once one goes, generally, it's time to start moving to replace those. Public Works equipment projects, obviously the road resurfacing, $800,000. This might be slightly reduced with the increase in fire cost and the AC. We use the resurfacing as our flex account. If we need a little bit more money in an area, we may reduce resurfacing, or if we have a little extra money, we may throw more money into resurfacing. And so we use that as our flex account of how much resurfacing we can do based upon the other parts of the budget. But the necessary equipment that we have there still remain the same. The truck that we're trying to replace is 12 years old. The skid steer, which probably stays in the shop and for repairs, is 12 years old. And then we have a new update. Last year you approved a mower for Public Works. We ordered it in October, and we finally got our October order, so it takes 9 or 10 months. We had an opportunity. There was a second mower that was available because it was declined by another municipality. We went ahead and grabbed it simply because we waited another 9 months for another mower that you may approve in this budget. So you're going to see this budget decline by one mower, about $13,000, because we moved some money around in Public Works to be able to pick up that mower with that opportunity. So we don't have to wait 9 months for a new mower. So our capital project funds, that's the ARPA, the Fort Florida Road is complete. ARPA is nearing completion. Their money's been encumbered, and there may be a small amount of dollars left over after some of these contracts get reconciled. And then the Fort Florida Road upgrade is complete. The fire station is near completion. We had almost our substantial completion meeting on Monday. And so we're ready to hopefully bring that to close. We're just doing punch out and some final things with there. I think we should have our celebration either the last week in September or the first week in October. And we can get that baby fired up. And then the Fort Florida Bridge. The engineer is complete. The RFP has been advertised. I think we have done our pre-bid conference today, right? And so I don't know how many people showed up, but we'll find that information out for you. And then construction is November 2025 through June 2026, which is hurricane off season. And just let everybody know that in advance. And so our summary there, our business raising obviously is the Alexander Island startup, the increase in public safety costs, the legal costs due to pending lawsuits, and obviously the long-term overdue of equipment and needs. So our recommendation is, Mayor and Council, is to maintain the rate that you proposed rate of 3.65. Our current rate is 3.4. We kind of went through, this is the chart that we provided. Since 3.65 is the highest that you can go, I blacked out 3.7, 3.75 there. And you can see there on the bottom there, I added the tax differential on an average taxable value house of $199,857. The current taxes that would be paid on that at 3.4 is $676. And then at 3.65 would be an additional $52 for the persons that have an average tax value of $199,857. So fine tuning over the next 2 weeks. Obviously, we'll be fine tuning the budget. We're still waiting on the state revenue numbers. And we're hoping, as you can see in my bottom line there, the possible adjustment that maybe they'll come in maybe 100,000 more, and keep your fingers crossed, and then we won't have to worry about some of these adjustments. We'll have them covered. Or we can reduce the road servicing down by a little bit, be able to cover that. And so, yes, the additional 118,000 for fire service, the additional AC units for Gateway, the reduction of the public works mower, those are the primary adjustments that have been made since our last discussion on July the 16th. And at this time, I'll take any questions or concerns that you may have, and I'll back up to our summary there, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about regarding the budget.
City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell, questions or comments?
If you look at that ad valorem forecasting, you'll notice a lot of cities that have their own police or fire or both. It is nice to get a discount from our sheriff for our police and fire from Orange City. I do agree with the 200 grand for to pre-order the fire engine. I can't believe it takes over 2 years to get a fire engine, over 8 months to get a lawnmower. This doesn't make any sense. Of all the numbers I've seen, the one for Gateway's air conditioning for 2 units is probably the most reasonable one I've seen, knowing how much air conditioning units cost nowadays. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to add.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Just a couple notes. I don't have any new slides. Sorry, Phyllis.
Disappointed.
There's always
But-
the future.
Oh, yeah, there's one more talk, at least.
Yeah.
So, I'll have more, but just a couple brief ones is stormwater fee. I hope next year we have a serious discussion on making it a flat, singular rate. I think the split rate has fallen out of favor. It's confusing, and all those things I've said in the past. I'm not trying to hash that out today, but I'd really like if we have a serious conversation next year about making that a singular rate. The other comment is just kind of putting into perspective the difference in millage from 2 years ago. If we look at 9247 versus 365. That's basically this upcoming fiscal year versus 2 fiscal years ago. That difference is $0.24 million less than the increase of emergency services over those two years. So I think I want to give some commendation to staff that despite this increase in millage, which I don't think anyone's very happy about, we are trading off in other ways, finding savings, finding other people's money through grants and other routes to make up that difference, because that's greater than the ad valorem increase in the past 2 years. So I think that's an important perspective, because I don't think anyone expected to see 3.65 two or 3 years ago, not even last year. We're supposed to be on the trend down. And it does give me some apprehension about the outlook to come down in the future, which is not a happy thought. That's my comments. Thank you.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Thank you. Thank you for including the number for the cost that I had asked you about for each of the residents, how this might impact them individually. Regarding the fire truck, I would also be in favor of option 2, to go ahead and put the deposit down now and to split the cost over the other 2 years. I like the way we've not had loans, and that would be a gift to our future council to have a fire truck be delivered in 31 months that is paid off, or at least planned for to be paid off in the budget. I appreciate your point also, Councilmember Papalardo, as far as the main reason for these increases is the cost of our fire and our police. And those are essential services. I just don't know how we could get around this. You have to have a fire truck. You have to have your police. I'm super excited, was glad to hear the CompStat solving resolution rate for all their crimes. Anything that goes on in DeBerry, we're catching it, we're solving that stuff. And to your point also, as far as the income level of our residents increasing over the years, it's also attributed, I think, to how great the city is. You know, that you have people that want to move here and they're pushing the bar up, and it's our responsibility as elected officials to maintain that bar and to maintain that level of service, because they came here and they're bringing their wealth of life and jobs and contributions to society, and then we have to keep up our end of that as well. So again, I don't like seeing the rate go up this high, but everything is going up, and I hope that people can understand that. I hope that Alexander Island is really beautiful, because that is, I think, one of the things that we've been putting aside money for such a while, and we haven't been able to experience the benefit for that. And then there was one more thing, I can't remember. Oh, road resurfacing. I hope we don't have to cut that too much, because I know we've kind of pushed road resurfacing off
A long time.
for a while, it feels like, and there's a lot of areas that need attention. You know, and just like the police and the fire, that's an essential service. We get complaints from residents about their roads, and so I don't want to push that off too much. We'll see how things work.
Okay. I anticipate, and I think some of the indications with the sales tax, half-cent sales tax, and the revenue share, let's hope that the forecast improves. And so we'll see how that goes in this fiscal year. Obviously, years after, I don't know how the tax structure is going to work after this legislative session. But you know, who knows? Maybe my forecast is not correct because there's no more property tax. So we'll see how that transpires. And I say that comically because it's a very complex issue, and we'll see how it goes forward.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Thank you, Mayor. We don't have a choice at the 3.65. We just really don't have a choice at this point. I can't find, I mean, I'm a numbers person as well, and I just can't sharpen my pencil enough to say, where do we cut? everything we're doing is essential. I hate going into reserves. We shouldn't plan to go into reserves. It should just be an emergency, but it's something that we need to do. And I'm looking at the other cities. We're still very compatible and very, aggressive toward keeping our lower rate. I just don't see any other way other than what do you cut? And I don't think there is anything right now with all this stuff going on. We're looking to increase the services that we provide our residents, not cut back. And I think, I tell that to them all the time. I've experienced it. You call 911, you expect them to show up. You just expect that. And when you don't have that, there's a concern. The second fire station, I had that initiative way back before I was even on council to get the property to do that, and it's just something that we have to do. I mean, I wish we had set it at 3.7. I would have been okay with that too, like I said back then, but I don't think we can go below the 3.65 if that's what the final result is for tonight. I mean, I think we can pencil a little bit more, but I don't see us going lower than that. That's it.
And I would say, I wish it weren't 3.65, but I also don't see where a sharper pencil would do anything that would amount to anything. And the key things that we are funding are public safety and the core services that our city expects. And it's not it's not fluff, it's not a lot of optional things. And Councilmember Stevenson mentioned Alexander Island. Alexander Island is, I believe, in most of our residents' eyes, one of the smartest things that our city did. We now will be able to, yes, it's taking longer. Yes, we've had to plan. Yes, we've had to really work hard to get grants and money in to make this work. Yes, the process is taking longer than we had hoped. But I challenge you to see any other municipality that is adding a 220-acre passive park. To me, that is this council's legacy. Adding in a city that's only our size, which is 21 square miles, adding park space that is essentially throwing 50% on at least to a green space base that other cities envy, is a really big undertaking. And yes, it takes staff and it takes equipment, but of all of the major moves that we have made, the positive response from our citizens to keeping that land undeveloped and eventually being available for all residents and even people in the much greater area to enjoy, that has had a very, very strong positive reception. So, I wish lots of things were different. I wish money fell from the sky that we could use for more exciting projects. But actually, ARPA was money from the sky. Initially, I had known about the Alexander Island property, and I never brought it up because I couldn't imagine how on earth, at that time we had a $19 million budget, and they wanted $4 million. Well, it does not compute. There's nothing in a budget like that where you can take 25% of an annual budget to do a single project without debt or things that we've really worked hard to avoid. And we eventually, with the ARPA money, were able to secure the property and keep it in its pristine condition. And I take great pride in that. And I think that this whole council and staff will be remembered over time for being able to deliver that to the people, which is really important. So, City Manager, I encourage you to call your folks in revenue and have them up the estimate. No.
If I could change the formula, I would.
If you could change the formula. I do favor us doing as we had discussed, taking $200,000 from reserves. It's a one-off. I don't have any heartburn over that. In order to get the fire truck ordered and split the rest of the cost during budget reconciliation time, if nothing else, over the 2 subsequent years. That is a way that we're able to get really costly equipment, long lead time equipment, and we've done it in the past. And we have avoided taking on any new debt. The debt we carry was all struck originally long before any of us were here. And we've just been methodically paying it down. And by the end of the time when we're this 5 are here on the dais together, we will owe less than $1 million as a city, and that's a really good position to be in. So that would end my comments, so we'll move on to reports. City Councilmember Sell, do you have anything to report?
Nothing today.
Councilmember Papalardo.
The opioid mitigation board meeting was rescheduled to, I think it's October 8th. I need to double check. I'm pretty sure it's a week that I'm out of the state, of course, so I'll talk to you later, Councilman.
Okay.
And happy birthday yesterday, 4th birthday to my son, Luke.
All right. Hard to believe. He wasn't even here when you joined the council. Councilmember Stevenson.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Vice Mayor Butland.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, this past week I was at conference with several of us. Shari and I spent the week there, and it was actually one of the better ones. The speakers were great, very attention hungry. You just couldn't take your eyes off of them. So learned a lot. I have a couple notes. As soon as I get my folder open, I will share them again at another time. And then tomorrow there is a ribbon cutting at 4 o'clock for AFK Accounting. And that's it for now.
Okay. I did attend CompStat with the city manager. The stats are very encouraging. The solve rate in our city is extraordinary. And this goes to many things, but the LPRs are really a great help. And I'm old enough to remember before I was on council where there were doubters on this dais that a single license plate reader was worth the money because they didn't know anything that had ever come positive of the use of such equipment. And now we have them deployed in a very strategic way throughout the city, and it really enhances the solve rate. Even if it just creates a database that says it doesn't appear that this crime was caused by a car coming in and out, then you can narrow your search. Lots of our crimes that would be really concerning do involve people coming from out of the area. But we do have some residents, some of whom have moved here recently, that have been involved in altercations that led to other things, and those are our residents. But the solve rate thus far has been very high. So it was a very encouraging report. I also attended the Florida League of Mayors meetings, which were the first day of the annual conference, and a workshop for the conference and some general meetings, as well as the breakfast with the Volusia League of Cities and the Florida League of Cities conference. And then I attended Sunday night the inaugural DeLand's Got Talent event, which was an effort of all 5 Rotaries. And the young woman who has sung for us here before, Melody Avalez, who sang for us, she was the overall winner and received $5,000, and she was just spectacular that night. However, I will say the other acts were incredibly talented, and it really was a showcase of talent here throughout West Volusia. I think they may rethink the moniker in a subsequent year because many of the performers were not from DeLand, because it really is Rotary clubs that are active across the western side of the county. I did attend the State of the Hospital address this morning at Advent Fish. This is their first such event, and it was encouraging to see the amount of medical services that they're bringing and their emphasis on the human side of healthcare, which is for those of us who have to engage with healthcare providers, being seen as something other than a number is a nice thing. What I mentioned during our one agenda item where we did our own amendment to incorporate the requirements of what we know as SB 180. As many of you know personally or have have monitored. There are many concerning situations. The last language that was put into the bill before it was passed, with very little lead time, made something that was generally thought, I think, by most of the legislators to be a reaction to hurricane damage, and in fact it was entitled emergency whatever. And yet the language that got thrown in at the last moment made it very broad, prohibited moratoriums in language that means nobody can hold a moratorium, and encompasses an area that essentially is the whole state of Florida. And those who have worked on things like their regulations relating to things that they believe could be done that would mitigate flooding risk in their cities, but were enacted after August 1 of last year, are basically nullified by this. And so, particularly if there is an actor, a developer, or whoever who feels that the new language is more burdensome, well, when you're correcting regulations that you believe have been too lax, it is going to be not as lax. So the language is pretty indefinite in the statute. It says, burdensome. What is that? Costly. But it also lays the legal fees of a plaintiff on the city if they prevail. So we do have sister cities throughout this region who face very real issues, and they are undertaking efforts to join with other cities facing imminent repercussions in a legal fight against these requirements of SB 180. Everybody wants people whose homes were devastated to be able to rebuild and not to be unreasonably burdened by the local municipality or county saying it's going to be really, really hard. You're just stuck between a rock and a hard place. But the way it came down, it did something much broader. All that to preface that the county council has decided to support language, amending language that they would like to push in the upcoming legislative season. They would really like to see a special session. Personally, I don't see that in the cards. It was almost a unanimous vote for. The governor did hear people objecting before he signed it. I think that no one with any power sees that as an emergency, so I would be very surprised by a special session. But they have asked would the municipalities consider supporting the language change that their lawyers have drafted for their lobbying efforts, which essentially says, for clarification, this is my shorthand, for clarification, this has to do with burdensome regulations for people who had hurricane damage or who were injured by the hurricane. I have asked the city manager to forward to each of you the attachment that came in the email to me. I've deferred initially because we've handled our own things, and I think the city manager and I were thinking we would sort of wait and see. We certainly are very active prior to sessions and during sessions, and would have some opinions on SB 180 as well. But not having an immediate emergency, it's not something that we had put on the front burner. I would ask that you read it, give it some thought, and maybe at our next meeting during reports, I would see whether we have consensus to support the council in that language or not, or what you would prefer to do. We, of course, can give direction to our own lobbyists as they begin to engage this fall. So that's what I had referenced when we were doing our own, to get our language in tune with our requirements under SB 180. City Manager, do you have anything to report?
No, I don't, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. City Attorney, how about you?
I think with the amendment to our land development code that you all approved of tonight,
Yeah.
in the second reading, we are in compliance with.
We are in
It's going
compliance.
to be very difficult for someone to come in and say, oh, you're violating SB 180, when we're giving them an opt-out, essentially.
Correct. we are good, I think, with our amendment. But the situation is this legislation could be continued if we have another hurricane this year for yet another year. And then how long would we want to be hamstrung in making a change if we identified something we could do differently that would enable us to protect our citizens better? So this is more a policy sort of decision. Do we want to be supportive of the council's language? Do we want to monitor it and think of what we would want to do as things develop? I'm just giving some consideration to the request. I initially said we would like to wait and see, and since then I've thought I shouldn't be the only one to answer that. So that's the background for that. City Manager?
Yes, Mayor, just one more comment on this Senate Bill 180. As you see some of the other cities that have some heartburn, some chaos, wanting to challenge Senate Bill 180, it really goes back to a tribute to you and to the staff, how proactive our community is. We are in real good standing with Senate Bill 180. Even our mobility plan that was passed after August 1 actually overall reduces the cost and is less burdensome on the new homeowners and the new businesses that are coming in a number of different ways. And so even on some of the other legislation that the legislature has done, I smile when I talk to our legislators that we're always a step ahead. And we really appreciate all the work that you do, our staff does, to make sure that our city and our community is always a step ahead and is very proactive. And so you won't see what some of these other cities are experiencing of trying to pass moratoriums and trying to do some things in the land development code and all this kind of stuff, and that it's business as usual here in DeBary. And so thank you for being very proactive and getting some of our land development codes done on a timely basis and everything else. And so we really appreciate that. It makes it much easier for our entire organization and our community that chaos doesn't exist here.
Correct. Anything else to report? Hearing none, we are adjourned.